Hey everyone, this is Danny Rivera Jr. and you're watching Rights Watch. Today I am joined by a very special guest. He is the Media Comms Manager and a representative of the local 2408 from AFGE back in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That is Angel Lopez. Hey Angel, how are you doing today?
Hey Danny, how you doing today? Nice to meet with you tonight.
Yeah, nice to meet you with you too. Thanks for joining me tonight, Angel. Today we have a very interesting topic, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware and are interested in knowing a little bit about the RIF. There's been a lot of talk about the RIF, and but many people don't know what that is. So we wanted to touch a little bit about what this is and what it means for our employees, especially the ones in the VA. As many people know, we work with AFGE, but we work with mainly with the federal employees of the VA system. So the information that you might find here might not be specifically to you, depending on which agency you work. However, it is important to notice that, if you're a federal employee, each federal agency that works with AFG, they have their own rule book called the Master Agreement, right on here.
Yes, sir.
So a reduction in force, very scary terms, very scary words for federal employees nowadays, because it's something I never thought that in my life, in my time in the VA or in this agency, I would ever face that. And I'm sure that's the same, you're facing the same fact too. But a reduction in force is practically separation from the agency, right? It's the legal process in which the agency can separate.
It is the legal tool that the agency have to separate people, employees from their jobs, and it is a legal process to it, because in the private sector, you will have layoff and you will be fired, and that's it. In the federal system, there's obviously other tools to do that, but let's say in the private sector will be layoff in mass, right? In the federal sector, it won't be like this. You cannot do it like that. You have to go through a process. So the RIF, or reduction in force, is a law designed for the federal government to use to do this basically mass layoff. And this haven't passed since the 90s. I think we were talking in our local about this, and nobody have lived through this, except my president lived through it in the 90s. He's been there for a while, for 35 years, and he barely remember how it was. I think he wasn't even working in the union by that time. So this is very scary times. I never thought in my life that I will be living through this. I always thought that if I'm a federal employee, I will have stable and secure employment, and something like this will never come away and in our direction. And it is a scary turn.
Yeah, but it is very scary, especially because this current administration is going out of its way. Because they're looking for ways to get rid of the union, as you and I very well know. This current administration wants to get rid of unions, but there's a very specific reason behind all of this. Our current RIF process, there's a whole guideline that federal agencies have to follow when it comes to firing federal employees, and specifically when they go through a RIF process. There's the whole process. It's outlined in our master agreement. If people go to the Article 28 of the VA master agreement, they're going to find everything that the agency has to follow to be able to fairly follow through this RIF process. However,
yes,
the really scary thing to me, Angel, is that there's a reason why they want to get rid of the unions, and it's because once they get rid of the unions, they don't have to follow the master agreement, do they? They can just fire people however they want indiscriminately.
Yeah, because the union exists for this very reason. This is why the union is here. Yes, we are there for the little problems and stuff, but because this specific reason is why we're here. We're here for us. The union is here as a wall, because we are here. We implement lawsuits. We implement a barricade for the government to not attack us or to not lay off us as an employees. So the federal government or this administration per se wants to take off the unions to have their way open to do. They don't have to follow the master agreement, the articles. That's one thing. And second thing, they can follow the law, but who is saying they are going to follow the law to the line? You have to see what is going on right now. We have executive orders every week, and those executive orders not all the time are by the law or the constitution, and so when they implement this process of RIF or reduction in force, somebody have to be there to watch that this law is applied in the correct manner. And that's what the unions are here for. First of all, we're here so the law be applied in the correct way, because as we said before, the reduction in force is the tool, the legal tool for the government to do those massive layoffs, right? But this tool have a process. This tool have this tool still give the employee rights, and those rights have to be guarded. And that is what the union is. That is why the union is here in those in this is why the union is here fundamentally.
Right. It's not part of the union's job is to file grievances and stuff like this, right? Because we're always watching to make sure that the agencies follow the contract, right? But more than that, we're always and we're trained on this. We're trained on the law, and although we're not lawyers ourselves, we have very capable lawyers that trained union staff, and show us how it is that these legal processes apply to federal employees. That way we can better help them in our own capacity, right? So, and this current administration is trying to hinder that, right? Because they want to be able to not have to follow any rules. They don't want to follow any legal contracts that they've already signed. I mean, the government already signed a legal contract. It's called the master agreement with the VA, but they don't want to follow this. So I think it's important for people to know what happens during a RIF and how we can help them. But first, let's talk about something just as important: staying connected, staying informed, and staying ready. Riverside is the stress-free way to give your business, your organization, and your customers the website they deserve. To learn more about how to give your business a professional online presence, visit riversidehub.com. Right now, unions and labor groups can get up to 10% off a multi-year plan, giving you a powerful, professional digital space when you can organize, communicate, track grievances, and stay connected with your members. If you're ready to make it easier than ever to build and manage your online presence, visit riversidehub.com/fight-for-rights and schedule your free consultation today. That's again, riversidehub.com/fight-for-rights. Let's build something powerful together. The agencies, other than, they're not communicating very well to their employees. The whole process. They're also not communicating with the unions, where they're standing or where they're at right now with this process. Has your local faced any of these challenges with your agency?
Yes, I'm from Local 2408, and we have been sending letters, legal letters for asking the administration to give us the information from the RIF, where the plans, there's some list of employees they're going to lay off or not, and they've been radio silent. And so then we went straight to them and asked them, hey, we need this. We understand we're in a legal process, but as a union, we like to be involved on it. And we asked, and their answer always is the same: we don't know anything. We don't know anything. So this has been for months. This has not been just now or the last week. This has been since the RIF was announced. We've been doing all this due process, and they always been saying we don't know anything, we don't know anything, we don't know anything. So I think a week ago or the last week, finally, some article came out saying that the administrator signed a non-disclosure agreement, and that is apparently that is why they haven't tell anyone anything. So basically, the government right now, the administration part of the government wants to keep everything in like a secret. But what that tells us that what they're planning is not, it's not good. What they're planning is not in good faith. It's not.
I think they're planning
Well,
to bypass our master agreement, and that they're planning
yeah.
firing people
Yes.
without following any type of sub protocol.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just exactly that. They want to. They're trying to do the most dangerous things, and that is just going through everything. The master agreement, going through the employees, just through it, and they don't want to have rights and good and a balanced process to it. And that is really dangerous, because you're talking about people's life here. We're not talking about some material or some concrete. We're talking about people's life. We have people that has been dedicating their life to these employees, to serve veterans, to serve other civilians for years now. And you're talking about they're planning to just rip it apart. Is basically what they're doing. They're just driving a car 100 miles and going through them, and that is not fair for these employees that have been working so much, so hard, and they're dedicating their life to this to service. Because if you're a federal employee, you dedicate your life to service.
Right, right. So it's very disheartening to see how this current administration has attacked just not just the federal sector, but I would say it affects everything. It affects not only federal employees, but it also affects the whole thought process of how labor and legal rights when it comes to labor looks like. I mean, this current administration is attacking its laborers, it's attacking its workforce, and it's very dangerous. It could trickle down, and if unions don't stand and unions don't fight like how we need to, and if unions don't stand their ground, if we don't fight to what we know it's right, if we don't fight for our rights, and if people don't keep their union memberships, if people stray away from unions and they don't support their unions, they're going to start losing their rights. So this is the only way the administration knows that they can get rid of our rights. It's by not attacking, and this is what I tell people all the time. They're attacking the unions by attacking you, our members, because that's the only way they know they can weaken us. But I'll tell you, Angel, I've seen a lot of people step up and keeping their memberships, and also just giving us support left and right, because they know that the rights that they have right now, they can't take it for granted. And they know that the only thing that stands in the way of losing the rights and being riffed, as we say, or being fired unfairly, or being treated unfairly, they know that the only thing that stands between the administration doing things like that and something like that ever happening is the union.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's why we are encouraging everyone to take a stand and change to e-dues, because right now the government, this administration attacked the union straight into the pockets. When they stopped the payroll deduction, what they did was to attack the guardian of the rights of the employees. Right? They attacked the guardian of the employees.
Right.
And basically, that was a straight attack from the administration to us. And we are that's I tell my members and my coworkers this. I tell them, hey, this is a strategic plan This is not something that is being just doing by chance. This is a strategic plan. You take off the money. You don't have money to pay off the lawyers, and then the lawsuits went down. If the lawsuits went down, the wall went down, and that wall is what is protecting the members. That wall is what is protecting the federal employees, and not only the VA's employees. It's protecting the TSA's employees, protecting the Social Security employees, it's protecting the DOA employees. So it's all the federal employees that's being protected. So right now, it is for us to take a stand and keep paying our dues members so we can keep paying these lawsuits, because let's be real and let's face it, these lawsuits are not cheap. These lawsuits are expensive, and they know it, and they're using it against us. So we need to take a stand. We need to keep going, and we need to keep paying these dues so we can keep paying the lawyers. Like in my local, we have a lawyer that is our lawyer for our member. If right now that was another straight attack to us, because we need to pay the lawyers. So these lawyers stay with us, and he can keep helping us. And it's very important for a membership to change to e-dues, not because we need the money, not because we want to take more money or something like that. I'm being straight up here. It is because we need to take a stand. We need to pay the lawyers. We need to keep up the lawsuits, and those lawsuits are the wall that are protecting the federal employees. It's the only thing in the middle. There's nothing else. Those lawsuits that the unions are getting on in the Supreme Court, in the legal court, in Chicago, in any of these states, in Washington, those lawsuits are the only thing in between this administration and getting this administration through firing us, doing the RIF the way they want to do, taking our rights, and taking. I'm gonna put it more simple. Look, if we let them win, just say goodbye to a simple thing as a planned vacation. Say goodbye to a simple thing as maybe a sick leave day. They in our master agreement, we don't have to call in and say, "Hey, I need to sick leave day because of this or that." We don't have to do that. We negotiate it in the terms that if I need a sick leave day, I just call in and that's it. Say goodbye to that. And I've been straight up, because I don't think people understand the gravity of this. I don't think that people understand that we're basically at war. We are at war. We're threatened. We are literally threatened to lose everything that our past membership fought so well to get. And we cannot let them do that. We need to keep fighting. And the way we do this is to pay our due members, so we can keep paying the lawsuits.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this as well. It's funny that they talk a lot about unions. And when I say they, I mean this current administration. How we're part of the inefficiency of government, when the reality is that unions make the government even more efficient, because we keep employee morale. We make sure that our employees are being treated fairly. They're treated equally. We make sure that, because what businesses and administrations don't understand is that, they have a bottom line, but they're dealing with people. So a lot of times they separate themselves between, my worker and the numbers that I need to reach. So they treat people like numbers, not like actual people. And sometimes unions, that's when we come in and we remind these agencies, listen, you're treating with human beings. They cannot work 24 hours a day. They cannot be working on their days off whenever you decide to call them. And I'm pretty sure anybody that works outside of a union, can tell you, because I've worked outside of the unions. I've worked at places where unions don't exist. And they can pretty much do whatever they want with you. It's borderline slavery. And if there's one thing that the government has ever done right, is to negotiate these contracts with unions, because it sets a great example, and not just to the private sector, but it sets a great example to the workforce in general. That when you have a labor force, people work and people work more satisfied. Then they're willing to give their all to the agency, and they're willing to work better. They're willing to achieve the numbers faster. They're willing to treat our veterans with more dignity, more respect, because they feel dignified and they feel the respect. But without this, you start losing that. Try serving your nation with your morale down to the ground. Now, you're going to do your best, right? But the quality of the service drops, not because we have bad people, but because the way that they're being treated, it affects us emotionally.
Of course, yeah. You can take for example, we work at the VA, and you take the nurses for example. That is a profession that is really, really hard in the body, and then really hard in the mind. You're there 5 days a week, dealing with sick people that need help. These veterans that need help. You're constantly giving help to others, right? And it is a beautiful profession, but it's also a very hard profession. And you're working at the VA, and you want to give the veterans not 100%. You want to give them 120, 150%, because these are the people that give you your freedom. Literally, these people went to war and fight for you to have your freedom, and you want to treat them well. And it is really hard. You're already being a nurse. You're already being a health provider. To do your job really well. And if they start ripping off your rights, your benefits, the things that make you feel dignified, as you said, it's scary, because we need to give the veterans the best of cares, more than the best of the cares. And as I just said, imagine how, if I'm going to defend the war, I'm gonna be guaranteed to receive the best care of all. That doesn't make sense, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what will ultimately bring quality care to our veterans, or what will ultimately bring quality care in general to in the federal sector, it's not the numbers that they type up in the computer. It's not the metrics that they have to hit to please somebody up in the higher levels. It's the people that work there. And the people are your best asset. And you have to make sure that you keep your best asset. You treat them well. You treat them fairly. You treat them with dignity. You treat them with respect. And yes, I will assure you that your efficiency, you don't need a whole department and wasting money in a whole department of supposed efficiency. You don't need a department to run efficiency. That's the most inefficient and most backward thing I've ever heard. You don't need any of that. All you need is to have a good relationship with your employees. Have a good relationship with those that serve the mission. Because if they serve, it's because they care. Because a lot of times people are not in the federal sector because of the money. Because it's very well documented that the pay is not as great as in the private sector for a lot of these jobs in the private sector. So a lot of people are here not for money. They're here because they care. They're here because they want to bring and provide a service of quality. And, we have to make our best to make sure that these people are happy, and that these people are taken care of. They are your best asset. So treat your asset fairly, equally, and with respect. Okay. So, Anil, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so happy that you were able to join me this tonight. There's a lot that we've uncovered here for our fellow employees and people in general that are interested in what's going on with our rights. Thank you for keeping up the good fight over in the San Juan VA over there. My best regards to everybody that works over there in the union and in the agency in general. And if you're listening, remember, the more you know, the more you're protected. Your union is here to fight, to defend your rights, and to keep you informed every step of the way. I'm Dan Rivera Jr. This is Rights Watch, and we're not giving up.